this garden of remembrance lie the ashes of Inga Jasov. Last year, at the age of 84, she committed suicide with the assistance of Roger Kusch, Hamburg's former Minister of Justice. Shortly before her death, Kusch taped an interview with her and published it on the internet.
The main issue for me is that I can determine for myself when I leave this world. That was the most important thing.
Kusch gives people instructions on how to commit suicide for a fee of 8,000 euros. But for the final step, he leaves the person alone to avoid being guilty of denial of assistance.
I believe that here in Germany, unless you have the possibility of obtaining a pistol or a revolver or poison, it is exceptionally difficult to end one's own life at a point in time when one is ready to do so. And secondly, when all the criteria are present that you could wish for when you die.
5 people who weren't fatally ill have taken advantage of his offer. Kusch considers charging a fee for an assisted suicide to be normal.
I'd like to steer this debate towards a parallel question, whether it is appropriate or not for physicians to receive money for performing abortions. In a society like ours, all services are always tied to compensation, because it would be strange to perform a service for no compensation.
So far, the courts disagree. One court in Hamburg condemned commercialized assisted suicide as socially unacceptable and banned Kusch from continuing the practice, suspecting he might be illegally handing out prescription drugs. Kusch denies the claim.
If I give you the name of a prescription drug and tell you to try and get hold of it, the chances are good you'll have it by the end of the day.
Yes, but I can move around.
Yes, but someone who's bedridden doesn't usually live alone.
The justice ministers in some German states are determined to prevent Kusch from being able to go about his business. They want to make assisted suicide a criminal offense.
We intend to make it a criminal offense. Put simply, it makes it illegal to set up a business which offers people information on ways to commit suicide.
Some lawyers disagree. They ask, how can assisting suicide be punishable by law if the suicide itself is not a crime? New laws are not necessary, they say.
The Administrative Court of Hamburg has set a precedent on this issue by forbidding his practice of assisted suicide on trading law grounds. If Kusch violates that ruling, he will have to face legal consequences. It's the right way to prevent the clearly immoral activities that Mr. Kusch is carrying out.
Germany's medical community condemns Kusch's assisted suicide business and underlines the oath physicians take to protect life under all circumstances. Although a small number of physicians agree that a dignified death should be part of life.
I think the medical fraternity is taking the easy way out when it says that doctors alone are the defenders of life, and that doctors may not consider anything beyond palliative procedures like pain therapy, and should not even be allowed to think about whether this wish for self-determination by a suffering person is something that doctors may try to facilitate in some other way. I believe that the medical community urgently needs to get involved in this question if we want to prevent the most seriously ill people from turning to deal makers and dilettantes like Mr. Kusch and others. We need to start getting involved.
Roger Kusch says he's more amused than anything else by politicians' efforts to put him out of business. He believes offering suicide assistance for money is necessary, as long as the medical community does not get involved in the issue.
For many years, I've hoped that the medical community would wake up to the fact that doctors have a responsibility to help their patients even at the end of the patient's lives. As soon as the doctors recognize this as a duty, my services will become superfluous.
Regardless of what the medical profession does, lawmakers seem determined to put Roger Kusch out of business. He suspended his work for the time being, but is appealing the Hamburg court's decision.